Texas, stories from my life. Texas, stories from my life. Hello, you all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, I got to thinking today about another story from my life. You all know how I love to share my little stories, and they're just little stories, but they're true stories from my life. This one dates back to the late 70s. I was living in California. My mom would come and go from our southern town, and she would come back and forth. And then she decided that she wanted to move to Texas. Well, we had a family friend who was more like family to us. We were very close with this person, more like an aunt to me. And she was from Texas, and she lived in Texas. And she had this great style about her. She was a real estate woman. I just loved being around her because I wanted to be like her. At that young age, I was probably about 20. And so my mom said, I'm going to go to Texas and I'm going to open up an apartment. So she opened up a really nice apartment near where my, quote, aunt lived. And so I flew down there and I would stay quite often. I loved it. That was back when the TV show Dallas was on and oil was booming and real estate was booming. Later it was to bust and then return again. And life has its cycles, real estate cycles, economy cycles, all kinds of things. Life has its cycles. And so anyhow, I moved down there on and off. And throughout the years, I'd kind of come and go. And my mom would kind of come and go from there too. She'd come back to California and then she'd go back to Texas. And I loved Texas. I really, really did. And it was so exciting back then. And I was single, so I dated a couple different guys during that time. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I have great memories from that time with my mom. I had this amazing mom and I just miss her so much. She passed a few years, about 10 years ago, from Parkinson related issues and ALS type of symptoms, and I took care of her completely, took care of her at the end of her life. And at the last stages, she had to go into a nursing home because she was bedridden to the point that I couldn't take care of her. I had 3 little kids and I would have been housebound and I couldn't do that, but I went constantly to the nursing home 2-3 times a day to be with her, to supervise her care, to feed her, to take care of her, to make sure she was being well taken care of. And so I miss my mom. When my mom was younger and she was strong, she was an amazing woman. She was so amazing. She was always moving somewhere, and so she was always loading stuff in her car and driving across country. My mom always had something waiting on the table for me. When I lived in Newport Beach and I would drive out to Palm Springs where she was living at the time, I would get there, and even if she wasn't there, she was gone for a few hours, and I got there was always food waiting for me on the table. My mom was amazing, and she would let me sleep in her bed when I went out to stay with her, and then she'd sleep on the couch. And she was just, we just had this amazing supportive relationship. And so I truly, truly miss my mother so very, very much. And yet I honor her in so many ways. I made a beautiful collage of photos of her, and I keep it in my bedroom where I can see it often. And so anyhow, my mom and I were down in Texas, and there's no really special story to tell you all about my time in Texas. So this is just sharing my time in Texas. And that kind of went on and off for over a period of about 7 years when my mom was kind of on and off living there. And, I would often stay with my aunt who had all this class and all this style. And I just loved being around her. She was one of these people, I called her Aunt Pat. She had a voice that everybody wanted to emulate. She had a voice mannerism, voice style, voice charisma. And I mean, people just wanted to talk to her so that they could mimic how she spoke. She was the best speaker, one of the best speakers I've ever heard in her daily talk and in any kind of talk. She just had that style about her. And so I hope I have a little bit of that style about me. So yeah, Texas. I love Texas. I did learn to line dance while I was down there, and like I said, I dated a couple different guys while I was down there on and off, and I would fly back and forth to California to Texas to back and forth, just go back and forth. And it was a great time. It was a great time and great memories with my mother. So, like I said, there's no special story attached to this, no big event, but it was just a great time of my life. And that was, like I said, back when Dallas was on and it was just starting out and everybody was watching it. And it just gives me good moments to remember my mom, and we just had such a great time. Well, from my house to yours, may God bless you, and I hope to talk to you all soon again. Bye-bye.